Hi, everybody. Welcome to Dan on Sports. Well, I am telling you, social media is going nuts because Notre Dame did not make the college football playoffs. You should see the remarks on social media. Notre Dame should say no to any bowl game. Notre Dame should go out of the picture. Notre Dame should protest completely. Notre Dame this, Notre Dame that. They're upset. And maybe they have a right to be because you look at Notre Dame, a 10-2 record, and they are not going to the college football playoffs. Think about that for just a moment. Notre Dame is out. They're not in with a 10-2 record. But you've got other comments on social media saying, well, Notre Dame should belong to a conference instead of being an independent. And this is what happens when you're an independent. It's nuts. Then others are saying James Madison doesn't belong in there. Tulane doesn't belong in there. Here's my take on all of this, and maybe the committee is trying to make a statement here. Maybe Notre Dame is not in this particular college football playoff scenario because they want to expand the college football playoffs. Right now, 12 teams are in the playoffs, but there has been conversation for some time that the playoffs should be expanded, and maybe this is their way of saying, well, you're upset that Notre Dame didn't make it, even though Notre Dame has a 10-2 record? Well, we're going to have to expand the playoffs. Because you know what happens when you expand the playoffs? More money. That's what it comes down to. Now, this is an interesting bracket because when you look at it, there is the possibility that Ohio State could play Indiana for the national championship. And we all know what Indiana did to Ohio State on Saturday night. Field goal missed by the Buckeyes. They lose 13-10. I don't want to take anything away from Indiana. Kurt Szigeti has done just an outstanding job as their coach. He has taken a basketball school and made football a major part of the conversation. That's not easy to be. That's not easy to do. Jason Candle, are you paying attention, by the way, the new UConn coach? But it can be done. You can take a basketball school and at least make football part of the conversation. I mean, Indiana is in position to win the national championship in football. I remember when UConn opened its stadium, Rentschler Field, and their first ever opponent was Indiana. And it was considered, well, Indiana, they're not a football school. There's two basketball schools going against each other. But here's my point. My point is it could be very interesting, even though Indiana defeated Ohio State, if those two teams meet for the national championship. Again, Ohio State was coming off of that emotional victory against Michigan, and you wonder how much they were into the game. But again, I'm not taking anything away from Indiana. They won the game fair and square. They beat the Buckeyes, and that's the way it goes. My concern is the bracket in which Ohio State is in, because if it comes down to the semifinals, Georgia, Ohio State, the Buckeyes are going to have a game on their hands. I don't think there's any doubt about it. You look at the bracket, the way it's broken down, and it looks to me like it's a clear path for Indiana all the way to the finals. And you look at the other bracket, and the team that's standing in Ohio State's way, Georgia, which had a convincing victory over Alabama. So hey, the NCAA loves this. The committee loves this because that's all people are talking about. Notre Dame got cheated. Notre Dame should be in. What's James Madison doing in there? What's Tulane doing in there? How come Alabama is in there over Notre Dame? Alabama, come on, man. Well, them's the breaks, as a certain former Yankees broadcaster used to say, and you play by the landscape, and that's the landscape. Now, as I said, I think this is a way to send a message that guess what? Guess what? We need to expand the college football playoffs so that Notre Dame never has to, or any school has to face this situation again. And as I said, the other part of the scenario is, you look at that bracket, Ohio State, Indiana, national championship. As Keith Jackson, the voice of college football, used to say, the late, great Keith Jackson, whoa, Nelly. But, in my opinion, Georgia stands in the way of the Buckeyes. That's going to do it for Dan on Sports. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you later.